Hey friend, come in. Sit down, get water. This one is full. I've been gone from home for about 11 years, not on holiday, not visiting, but gone. And what I want to do today is tell you the truth. Not just what happened, but what it made of me. What I gained, what I lost, what I had to fight for, and what you can carry away from my story. This episode is for the one who has been far from family, from softness, and from herself. So come sit down beside me, let's talk. I was 18, the firstborn daughter. And when I tell you the whole family showed up at the Abuja airport, I mean everybody. My mom, my dad, my younger sister, and my brother. My aunties, my uncles, because in my family, if one person is traveling, the entire family is traveling. And my sister, the one I'm always fighting with, hugged me so tight. I looked at her and said, I'm going to miss you. And this time I actually meant it. Because the night before we were fighting. I don't know why we were always fighting. I remember as kids, we would fight and break my mother's center table. She just had every reason to fight me. And if you've been listening to my podcast episodes, you know my sister Didi. So Didi hugged me and said, I'm going to miss you. And I said, I'm going to miss you too. Let me tell you, when I was leaving, my mom packed food. I think I was going with 2 boxes. And one was filled with traditional wares because as I was going to shop for my winter clothes, everything that I was going to need there. So my mom took the opportunity to sew traditional wares for me. She bought Maggi, Gari, Kuka, egusi seeds. I didn't take crayfish. I'm not a fan of fish. She tried to put dry fish in my box. I was like, I don't need it. I even had dried ugu leaves. My mom took her time to pack things for me because she's like, even if you're gone for a year, you need to eat well, dress well. Oh my gosh. I had so many chats. So when we went to the airport, I went from Abuja airport to Lagos airport with a group of students with an educational agency. So my dad and I went to Lagos. And when we got to Lagos, we had to start removing things because the bag was too heavy. It was like I was going to go and open a mini store. And my dad is like, okay, take the food stuff because your mom to put a lot of effort into this. And I'm not going to take that back with me. I'll remove some of your clothes and take them back. And I was like, okay. My box was overweight, like it was over the limit for excess luggage. So we paid for excess luggage for all my boxes either way. And my dad still had to remove some things. Anytime I think about it, I'm like, oh, mom, I love you so much. Thank you. That day, as I stood there, I told myself something. I said, Karen, whatever you make of yourself now, it's up to you. It is on you. No one is coming to remind you to pray. No one is coming to stop you from failing. It was all me. And my choices, whatever I make of myself is left to me. So that was the journey to Canada. When I got to Canada, Canada greeted me with snow. But not like those pretty kind of snows you see on those Hallmark movies. Oh, it's so pretty. Snow. No, it was a snowstorm. Real cold. The one that will slap you on your face and be like, wake up, what are you doing here? That year was as cold as Mars. It was even on a newspaper, like on the news. I think CNN carried it. My first week there, I had a roommate, Oinko. We tried to go for orientation because new students needed to know what's going on, where school was. And it was Snow is so hard, but we knew we had to get to where we were going. We didn't know the direction or anything. But because of how bad it was a snowstorm. Like you can't literally see your hand and your legs. You were walking by feet. It was all white out. We were able to see a bus. Thankfully, we got on and later realized that we got on the wrong bus. Thankfully, we had already done phone lines. We were able to get a SIM to call the city operator to help us because we were lost, we were confused, we were disoriented. So we called 311, the city line, and by the time we were able to find out, the orientation was over. I remember thinking if I was alone, I would have sat down on the pavement and just cried. But thankfully, I had someone with me, so we were helping each other along the way. That was my welcome. And should have been a warning for me. But that was the beginning of my relationship with survival. It was a metaphor for what was going to happen to me. In Nigeria, I was used to people doing a few things for me. Even if I would go to the market, buy things, there was always help. There was always someone helping out, a driver. Now you come from that and then you're on your own. It was jarring, but thankfully my mother was training me for survival. I need to have her on an episode on YouTube because you guys need to know how my mother trained me. My mother was training me like I was going to survive in a jungle somewhere. She was like, I'm going to train you so well that wherever you find yourself in this world, you'll be able to survive. And I'm thankful because I survived. So I went to buy groceries. When you're new to a country, you're not just visiting. I've traveled and then you buy things. Even if the money's not enough, I can always go back. I don't have to buy anything. But now I have to buy food because I have to survive. It was a different experience. I walked into the store, calculated $30 in my head, took the bill and bought everything. Then I went to the till and they were like, okay, this is $34.73. I'm like, it's not $30 I counted. Why is it $34.73? And she said, taxes. I'm like, taxes? What kind of tax? That was my introduction to PST, GST, and HST. In Winnipeg, we don't really have HST, but I had to learn quickly that the price on the shelf is a lie. It's a lie. Because now, why am I standing there counting my money? Because I went with cash, unfortunately for me, and thinking, okay, what do I reduce and what do I drop back? I was embarrassed, but I was like, it's fine, we move on. Food was expensive. Fresh things were more expensive than junk. When I first went, I didn't know where the African stores were. So I was really grateful for my mom that she packed Maggi and stuff for me in my box. But the reality struck when all those things finished and I had to go and buy them myself. I was like, why are these things so expensive? I get it, there's the journey that the things take to get here. But it was killing me as a student that I was depending on my parents to pay for most of these things. Right? So whatever money they gave me was the money that I would use to buy any textbooks, buy anything, groceries, pay for my basic necessities. So I really had to budget wisely. One thing my dad did for me that I'm grateful for, although I found very annoying when I first went, was each dollar he says to me, because as a banker, accountant, he was like, okay, tell me what you spent your money on. If I was going to spend my money on anything, I'm like, if I report this to my dad, like, will he say I'm stupid? So that was a little check for me. Since I'm here alone, he has to be able to keep me accountable in one way or another, right? You ask me, what did you spend your money on? And then I'll give him a breakdown of what I spent. I used to keep my receipts. And I'm thankful I did that because when it came to taxes for business, it was already a habit, so I didn't used to throw my receipts away. I'll keep my receipts, calculate what I spent on groceries, eating out, rent, essentials, like stuff like that. I wish I knew about all these little accounting systems. Or I even started a spreadsheet. Fresh things are more expensive than junk. And I remember going out to restaurants to eat. And I tasted the food. I was like, God, there's no pepper. Because I was coming from Nigeria and I used to eat pepper a lot because my mom used to eat a lot of pepper. So I was used to it. So I found it hard to start eating food. So I started learning the types of food that I could eat that I didn't mind. Things like steak and mashed potatoes, stuff like that, instead of eating like their rice. I'll feel like throwing up. It was my first year there. I had to do a lot of math, like math games, figure out what works here, what doesn't work here. Okay, this is not acceptable, this is okay. It was a survival game and I survived. At least I'm here to tell the tale. I remember one time I was feeling fancy and I decided to go and eat out. I saw a nice burger meal. I was like, okay, it's burger. How expensive can it be? I thought it was McDonald's burger I was going to eat. They gave me the bill, $25. I said, $25. Okay, I can manage that. But I wasn't ready for tip culture. You know, like, I have to tip somebody after I eat. Then they brought the bill. Tax plus tip plus the $25, it was 30 something dollars. I was like, first of all, what is all of this? I want to say you must tip, but you don't really have to tip. But if you don't tip, the way that they'll look at you is like you are very wicked. After we saved you, sort of to give us tip. You know, when I went, Naira was like 180 Naira to $1. But I was still doing math in my head. I was like, okay, this is something, it's something Naira. It was $17 for burger. How much is that in Naira? I thought about it. I say it's burger that I eat like this. I had to remember and I had to plan a lot for that. You see, the worst thing for me was when we went for a party. Somebody invited me for the first time. The first time somebody ever invited me for a birthday party. They were like, okay, it's my birthday, come. I was like, okay, order what you want. It was time to pay. Everybody was bringing out their card. I was like, is it not you that invited me for your birthday party? You now want me to pay. That was when I now realized that there's a difference between tip and gratuity. So when you eat together and you pay about, it depends on the restaurant, I think, about a certain number, maybe like 8, they will automatically slap a tip for themselves on that bill. So if you don't see well and you go to pay, you will now pay them extra tip again. They will not tell you anything. So you just look. You have to look well on the receipt. First time, 1 time, 2 times, I learned. I was like, okay, you are already giving yourself by first tip, so I'm not adding again. Except if the Lord says, oh, I just add small, like, as a godly child, as a godly child, a child of God. So I give them something. I'll say, okay, I'll add something small extra. But it took me a while to realize that you invite me for your own birthday and I have to pay for the food you invited me for. But for a while, after my experience with the tipping and all of that, I'm already paying for extra when I go for groceries. For now, just give me my pot. Let me go home and boil rice because I will eat rice. There is food at home. As a student, I'm not earning like you people. But thank you for inviting me. Next time, consider our pockets too. It was such a fun experience because I was telling my family this, like, okay, this is what happened. It was such a new experience for me. I'm glad that I get to experience this and share this with my people. Now, there is something that happens when you're away and life keeps going on for people at home. I know when I was going abroad, I told my mom, Mommy, I'm not going to miss you. I really am not going to miss you for a while. because I wasn't expecting to be away for such a long time. Nobody expected it. Life just happened. I was like, okay, I'll be back for Christmas. I'll be back next year. I'll be back by this time. That was my expectation. But nobody really tells you that being abroad can be lonely, especially times when you're sick, no one to call, no auntie to make soup, or just send me, okay, here's money for fruit, buy fruit. You are abroad, you're on your own. Just me, that cold, and my empty fridge. If I decide to cook, good for me. If I decide not to, that's my business. If I'm sick and I don't go to the hospital, that's all on me. Except my mom comes like, I feel like there's something wrong with you. What's going on with you? I'm like, Mommy, I'm not feeling. Have you gone to the hospital? I'm like, yes. If I lie, that's my business, because nobody really is there to help me. And then there's the weddings, funerals, baby dedications that you see on WhatsApp status and be like, the world is moving on without me. Things are happening. My family members are enjoying. But after some time, you'll be like, I am even struggling to stay alive here. Let me focus on my focus. But the best thing that I would say happened to me personally was church. Finding a Bible-believing church. It was a covering for me. Well, before I found this church, I went to a church before and my mom was like, please leave that place. I was like, okay, if mom says I should leave, I'll leave. One of my friends from secondary school was telling me, I should come to this church. Such a nice church, I should come. And then I was like, why not? So I took my roommate and we went, and she was like, this is it. This is home. Shout out to Pastor Andrew Bauer. Daddy, I love you. I appreciate you. He became my emergency contact. And his wife, Mommy Yen, she became my second mom. And then also when you're abroad and you find northerners, it doesn't matter, but you're from the north, it's like, Jesus, I found you. Oh my gosh. Because everywhere you go, you see people from the east, the west, the south. But from the north, not many people actually go abroad and stay abroad. So it was such like finding home away from home. And I'm thankful they opened their hearts and their home to me. That community held me down. It was like a place during Christmases, during Thanksgiving. The house was open to us to come and feel like we are accepted somewhere, because many people, when you're away, it's so hard for you to go through those holidays because you don't have anywhere to go, especially as a student. Sometimes you're really broke and you don't have food to eat for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, for Easter, all the holidays. And when people do that for you, it becomes a saving grace. So I was really grateful for that. That's covering over you. Pastor Anchuba make you pray, fast, do marathon 3 days without food or water, do contact 12. And this encounter helped me mature in my spiritual life. So I'm forever grateful to him as my mentor, right? And when you're abroad, finding a community that you can rely on is non-negotiable. It's a lifeline, because if anything happens, you have someone. If you don't have family, that's where you can find solace. If you find the right community. I know there are people that have church hurt and all of that, but for me, it was finding the right community in church, because all the other communities I tried to associate myself with, it wasn't just for me. There was so much, that story for another day. But yes. And for finding my friends, I would say the church gave me my friends, because most of my friends, I found them in church. Even though we went to the same school, we bonded on values. Also, for my parents, finding out that I had like spiritual parents they could call and know that they had someone that could help them keep their daughter accountable was such a big deal, right? And Pastor Andrew bowed to the max. And there was a prayer my mom prayed for me when I was leaving Nigeria. She prayed, she was like, then I find godly friends and I find people that would feel like home to me. That prayer really worked for me, and I'm forever grateful. Most of my friends I found through church because we bonded not just on our values, but based on what we valued as well. So even though we're in school, church became that common ground, and I'm grateful that I have a solid community of friends. I'm so grateful for them forever. Now, let's talk about something that I found hard. How do I say this? My mom was always praying for me when I was away. She would call me, she would pray. She'd be like, are you okay? I was dependent on my parents to send money to me for the first year of school. Things changed because I had to find a job. But before I found a job, it was such a hustle to send money because the Nigerian government decided to make it difficult to use your card abroad. So even if you had money, getting it was war. They made it hard to send dollars abroad. Cards started getting blocked. Western Union had ridiculous rates. My family tried everything to send naira to someone with Canadian account, but those people added their own rates. They'll send like money and then you'll be getting like peanuts at the end of the day. It was frustrating, really, really frustrating. But what would you do, right? I was stuck. Even when I had help, I couldn't access it. And for me, that's where creativity, I had to get creative. I was like, I can't depend on my parents forever. Like, I need to do something. And luckily enough, these days we have something like Lemonade Finance, which is now LinFi, where it's so easy for you to send money and the likes of it, right? I changed everything for me. My mom's like, I want to send money, even if it's small money. Let me just send something to you. I'm like, sure. Would I say no to money? Never. So when I found out about Lemonade Finance, I was so happy. I was like, God, thank you. This is what happens when you find solutions to people's problems. They understood how hard it was for people to accept money, especially international students. And then when I found them, everything changed. They'll send naira to an account and I would be able to transfer it directly to my Canadian bank with no interest. Only the exchange rate would matter. No drama, no funny rate, no stress. If you're in that season, check out the show notes. I dropped my affiliate link there. Use it to save yourself. I enter school with fire, with carrying the weight of being the one who made it. It feels heavy. You know, when your mom is like, your younger ones are looking up to you. You know, I've always had that because as the firstborn, they always tell you, your younger ones are looking up to you. People who were already in the system longer, they understood the culture. I was still figuring things out. It took me a while to get used to the shift in the educational system. Then there was work. I remember going for a business event representing my firm. That was my first job. One man walked up, looked me over and said he wanted to speak to someone more senior. Not a woman, and not a black woman at that. I told him, I'm here representing the Partners Authority. You can take his card, but I can't guarantee that he'll answer. And he was like, okay, if you want to talk business, talk it with me. For a moment, I really was shocked. I'm saying it like this, but I was shocked. I was like, okay. I mean, it's my reality. I'm a woman. I have an accent. I'm black. I'm plus size. He needs someone different. But I didn't let that bother me. I just stood there. And he had no choice but to speak to me. Sometimes you have to show up in rooms that were not built for you, and you refuse to shrink because you have every right to be there. After a while of being in school, being at a workplace, trying to mature as I went through the years, hustling became my identity. I forgot how to rest. I forgot how to receive. I forgot how to ask for help. My friends used to have an issue with this. They would say, Karen, where do you need help? But because I'd become so independent that I would do things by myself, I would say, no, I'm fine. I was doing the jobs, learning the system, helping people, and dying slowly inside. Survival mode will make you effective, but it would also make you numb. And that's what happened. I got good at managing many things, but I forgot how to enjoy a lot of things. I've had to learn how to rest again, to dream again, and to stop calculating every moment like I'm about to break. When life wants to make you slow down, it comes in. It doesn't even give you warning. It just comes boom, boom, boom. They came like losses back to back every year. My grandma, my aunt, my uncle, and then Mommy Yen. I was tired. Honestly, I was tired. I was frustrated because as all these losses came, I didn't have the luxury to just stop. If you're abroad, you would know that you don't really have that luxury to stop. Bills are waiting for you. You have to be accountable at work. If you're not close to the person that passed away, you don't even have time to go off work except if it's unpaid. But really, you just have to work like a machine. I was tired emotionally, spiritually, physically, and every time I wanted to come home, something would happen. Something always come. Like, my friend was getting married. I was like, I'm so sure I'm going to come. And then something cropped up. For 11 years, I was like, I wasn't meant to be away from home for this long. But it just happened like that. Finally, in February 2024, I was like, I'm going home. I don't care what happens. I'm going home. And things just aligned that I was able to come home. And I am forever grateful to God that I did, because I saw my sister before she passed away. If I didn't come home, I don't think I would have been able to forgive myself. But before I left, there's this thing that keeps, as I'm recording this, it came to my mind. Before I left, my mom gave me a Bible. That Bible is torn now because I read it so much. She opened to Deuteronomy 28. And she marked the blessings. But the blessings are not as much as the curses. She marked them. And not even all. She marked the blessings. And then she took her pink pen and started marking the curses. I watched her hand go. It was just going. I was like, God, what is this woman doing? She was just going. And then she looked at me and said, I've taught you. If you like, go and live anyhow. But I've shown you the way. She also marked John 1 verse 8. That one, the one to say, meditate upon the word day and night, and it will make your way prosperous. That stayed with me in the hard times, in the cold rooms, in the silent nights. It covered me. So what did 11 years teach me? Survival will stretch you, but if you're not careful, it will shape you. Faith doesn't remove hard seasons, but it anchors you through them. Becoming is slow, but it is sure. If this episode spoke to you, I want you to know that there is more. I'm working on a YouTube video with my mom right now where we go deeper. And if you don't want to miss it, get on my email list. The link is in the show notes. No pressure, just stay connected. In the next episode, I'll be talking about how I landed 3 job offers with no work experience. Just pain, prayer, and preparation. Until then, this is Karen Elijah, speaking, covering, and working with you. I'll talk to you soon.